Good people don't smoke marijuana.
I've known Larry for a long time.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. Our love. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's the medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's the medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio. This one is going to be a good one. We have Canna Mom, and her name is Amy Chin, and she has a company selling CBD products for women called Calm Better Days. And it was a great conversation. She's from New York. That's why the hat today. I do want to remind you before we get to Amy that listen to my Late Night with Larawana show on Clubhouse every Friday and Saturday nights, midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. on the West Coast. That's Late Night with Larawana. So now, here is Amy Chin right after this.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. Our love.
And today we're talking to Amy Chin from Calm Better Days, and we're going to talk about cannabis and CBD for women in prenatal and postnatal and anxiety, all kinds of stuff. Welcome to Medical Marijuana Radio, Amy. Thank you.
Hi, Larry. Thank you for having me here. I'm so honored to talk about cannabis and CBD and everything.
Oh, fantastic. So you actually make products for people, right?
Well, actually, I don't make products. I don't want to pretend to be a cultivator, a grower. So I actually support brands that are small farmed, women-owned or BIPOC-owned brands. Yes, those are the brands that I want to support. I want to vote with my dollars and, say it with my money.
You know what? That's the way we make changes, and that's the way we clean up the industry a little bit, is by voting with your dollars and so forth. So how did you come to cannabis for your health?
Well, this probably started about, my second daughter is 6 years old, 5. So 6 years ago, I was seeing a therapist, and she made it aware to me that I have anxiety and postpartum depression, something I was not aware of. It hadn't even crossed my mind. I was just living in this turmoil where I was just cranky all the time, didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to face my reality. And all those things I was experiencing, I did not know that there was a name to it. So I was really glad that she brought it up to me. And my therapist suggested that I try CBD because she knew that after having children, I was leaning toward a more holistic, natural way of life, and I did not want prescription drugs. So, I know CBD was from cannabis. I knew cannabis from my previous experience with it, the THC side. And so when she mentioned CBD, I was for it. I got my medical card because at that time, CBD was only medically legal. I got my medical card, went to a medical dispensary, got my CBD, walked out of there with just instructions of, here, take this twice a day. So the experience at a medical dispensary was very lackluster, but the CBD capsules that I tried was amazing.
Wow.
Amazing in that the drastic changes I felt from, it really felt like rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to wake up and start the day on the right side of, on the right foot. And instead of being that reactive, irritable, cranky, yelling mom, I was finally able to be present, able to respond to the day's challenges. And when I handled situations with my kids in a, calm manner and able to solve it, that was everything to me. And once I saw those changes in myself, I knew I had to talk about it because one, I want to normalize the plant. I want to normalize mental health, and I want to normalize mothers consuming cannabis.
Absolutely. You
That,
know, women are such a big force in this industry. It's so exciting. You know why? Because they care about health, they care about their children, they care about themselves. And cannabis just seems to help so many things. So when you first took these CBD capsules that you were taking, did you work your way up with a particular dosage, or did you just what was the first dosage that you took?
the first dosage, I'm not even sure right now to this day because very little instruction was given. It was literally you walk into a room and the doctor says, would you like tinctures, capsules, or a vaporizer? And you don't get to see any of it. You don't get to smell any of it. So because at the time I was only familiar with capsules from modern day prescription drugs, I said, sure, I'll just take capsules. So she gives me something which I think was maybe based on my weight. And so I took it, and basically the instructions were take twice a day, one at night, one in the morning. So I followed that, and that was my dosage throughout. So they did not, guide you into it, ease you into it at all.
But on the bottle, did it give the dosage? What's on there? Do you remember what it is, or it was such a long time ago you don't
It was
know?
such a long time ago
Okay.
that I don't know.
So how about now? Do you know now what dosage you're taking every day?
Yes, now I do. Now I know what I'm doing, what I'm taking, and how often I should be taking it. And I saw that was such a miss in the industry that is why when I started my company, I really want to walk people through it. Like break it down. Like, how is this working in me? What actually am I taking? What is CBD? How it works with our endocannabinoid system. Why does it address so many different symptoms? And talk about different delivery methods and how to find your dosage, because that's really important. Once you know the basics of it and learning to find your dosage, what I want to do is empower people to be their best self-health advocate through cannabis, through plant medicine.
So in your workings and talking to people day to day, even with CBD, do you find that it affects people differently? Like you use it at night, and obviously you can sleep on it, right? But
Yes.
have you found that some people maybe it keeps them awake? I found
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it depends on their dosage,
Right.
which is why it's so important to find your dosage, because then you can tailor it toward your intention. And I do understand maybe CBD does also do that, which is why I also suggest CBN, another cannabinoid that can help with sleep. And which is why the consultations are really important, because we're just scratching the surface with CBD. We're now finding out, right? Other cannabinoids are just as helpful for targeting specific symptoms. So if I hear that your issue is insomnia, I now suggest CBN instead of CBD. One, it's more cost effective, right? Instead of going through your bottles of CBD. And two, CBN is so potent, it specifically targets sleep. So you don't need to use as much. So that's why consultations are good, because then you know that you're not just taking one product for everything. CBD doesn't work like that. I mean, it does in a general sense, but if you want to target a specific symptom, we can now find you a specific product for that.
So what's your most surprising symptom or condition that you have found, wow, this really is working for that? Is there something that surprised you, or just is it pretty normal that it's working for a lot of people for a lot of different things?
I think because I'm a lover of the plant and I've seen its how it helps so many people, it doesn't surprise me. But I think what surprises me is how many usages you can get out of it. For example, people may not be aware that you can use a tincture topically too. So actually, when I had shingles, I was dousing my whole body with it to help from the itch, the pain, and the inflammation of the shingles. So that amazes me.
Were you taking it internally as well as
I
externally?
was.
Okay.
I was.
Did you try like a salve or a roll-on, or just like the tincture drops and rub it in?
Just the tincture drops because I wanted a high milligram one.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so I mean, there are salves out there. I have a salve, here that's got like 600 milligrams in a little thing. So I mean, if you use it
True.
for arthritis and other
Yeah.
afflictions, it really helps.
Oh,
So
definitely.
so
It's just that with the shingles, I
oh
wanted something on hand that I had. So I wanted, 1,200 milligrams, and I
mhm,
didn't have that in a solve or a balm. So I was like, let me just use this tincture.
right. So let's talk about women's health, okay? I mean,
Hmm.
it's so important. I mean, women, they run the families. They're responsible for everything. And I'm guessing that's why you had shingles, because of the stress.
Yeah.
Something was stressing you out for sure.
Yes. Yes. I think, as moms, as females, we tend to take on a lot. We're used to holding the family together, like you're saying, and that mental load, it doesn't stop. It doesn't quit, right? Moms are up at night because they can't fall asleep because they have that running list of, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow?
Right.
And because of that, most women, and I would say almost most people from stress, right? We are cannabinoid deficient. And what most people don't know is that CBD, which is a plant-based phytocannabinoid, can really help balance our endocannabinoid system. And so that's why it can address so many different things. It's not really the CBD, it's our endocannabinoid system that is doing all that work.
Right. And of course, it hasn't been activated for many, many years because of the prohibition and so forth. I mean, we can go back 120 years and find Pfizer bottles that say, for sleep, and it'll say cannabis indica, and they actually had like chloroform in it and all kinds of other stuff. But this was, in part of our medicine back then,
Yes.
and we lost it for all those years.
Hmm.
So now that it's back, let's just talk about women's health. Obviously, something that women go through every month is their
Yes.
monthly cycle and so forth.
Yes.
So how does that help? Uh, you know,
Well,
and what should they
when
be taking and using? And
Well, I do have a brand that specifically targets women's health issues, and the brand is called Chula. And what they do is not only have CBD in there, but depending on what your specific symptoms is, because it can range, right, from to cramping to your mood, and even for older women who are going through perimenopause or menopause, there are different symptoms for that. So she has a formula for each specific symptom.
hmm,
So if, let's say, right now I think I'm going through peri, but still experiencing some of my usual PMS symptoms, I'm using her Munawoom, I think, and it has CBG in it to help with the pain. So, which is great because, we forget that when women are going through their cycle, it's a physical stress on our body and our hormones are shifting.
hmm,
So, having CBD to regulate our hormones and to help with that is a big help. And also, as well as the pain, severe cramping. And I know that when we have, when we're cannabinoid deficient, inflammation builds, and that's when fibromyalgia or endometriosis, also the pain from that is very severe. So I found that CBD suppositories really is like a direct shot to that pain. The receptors in our pelvic area
hmm.
where there's a lot of receptors there. So that really helps with the pain.
So let me ask you this: is it easy to find CBD suppositories, and what dosages are there, and what's too low, and what's the right sort of dose,
Mhm.
average type,
Right. Definitely
strength?
finding your dose is very unique to each person, but usually a person experiencing that kind of pain, I advise them to give it a try at nighttime. So at least if the dose is too high, usually they'll have a really good sleep.
Hmm.
But at least then you kind of know how your body
Right. You're laying down and
reacts
you're in a safe
for the
place.
time. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You can find suppositories in most places. I think the problem is most people don't even know they can use CBD for that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem, which is why education is such a huge component in my company, because if you don't know about it, you're not going to use it. You're not going to look for it.
Yeah, we have
So,
to we have to educate like the lawmakers, law enforcement, doctors, nurses, people. I mean, there's a big job that we've been doing and we need to continue to do in order to get this great medicine to people who don't know about it. So, I mean, obviously that's what you're doing for sure. So as far as the suppositories are concerned, depending upon what issue you're with, you could put it in either place, so to speak.
correct. Yes, you
Okay.
can put it in either place. And if you find that the dosage is too high, then we could start off with a balm first, because they can always rub it on their abdomen, and any other body pains as well.
So have you found with any of the people that you're helping that a CBD dosage can be too high? And what would the symptoms of a too high CBD dosage be? I was just wondering.
Well, it depends what they're treating, again, because it's very unique, and each person's dosage depends on their genetic makeup, their lifestyle, right? Choices in terms of if they're eating right, getting adequate sleep, and if they're, let's say meditating, managing their stress.
Mm-hmm.
I always start people off with going low, really slow. And for general wellness, as a ballpark, I tell them it's about 1 milligram per 10 pounds. But this is something that you need to learn to track so you can find your dosage. So before we ever start, I always tell them to start with a self check-in list. Check in with your mind and your body. Write everything, every symptom down that you want to address, right, with CBD or cannabis. And once you're done with that list, and rate every symptom 1 to 10, 1 being okay, 10 being at its worst. And, every time you take CBD, go back to your list, right? Go back to your list in an hour, because pretty much every method would have kicked in about an hour. And see if your symptoms, did you find any relief in it? Did that 10 go to an 8? And I explained that, this is the first time you're taking it. You may not see results because, one, your body's getting used to something that you're introducing for the first time. And 2, you haven't found your dosage. So the idea is to continue it on a daily basis. And when you see that 10 go to a 1, then you've found your dosage. And it's important to track because, 1, we're cannabinoid deficient, right? And CBD will take about 3 weeks to build in your body. So it's important to know that you're going to have different results from day 1 versus day 7 versus day 21 and so forth. Mm-hmm. And the idea is, as you continue to track it, you're getting into the practice of listening to your body. And once we get into that habit and flow, it becomes natural. And then you kind of know what your body's telling you and how much to take, how much CBD to take.
Mm-hmm. So for those people that just happen to be in a legal medical state or a recreational state, how would adding some THC be to some of this? Would that help it? I mean, we all know about the entourage effect, and certain CBD products are, 2 to 1. For pets, it might be 20 to 1 CBD to THC. So, and the products that you're talking about in the last few minutes, are they totally THC free, or have the legals below 0.3%?
It's all federally legal CBD products. So it has. And I have a range of full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate products. Mm-hmm. But even the full spectrum, for legal standards, they are no higher than 0.3% THC.
Right. So it's not tea free. I mean, it's not some
right.
of these products that, okay, because you need a little bit in there anyway, right?
Yes. And of course I see, I look at their situation. If they need to do drug test or not, then I prescribe them the appropriate product. Mm-hmm. And, I understand that also some situations, sometimes people may need more THC, more than the 3.3%, right? And that's why I have Presto Doctor on my website so that they can apply for a virtual medical card, right? Virtually. And the great thing about that is that you only pay if you qualify for a card. Back when I went to get my card, I had to go in physically to a doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't qualify, I still would have to pay for that doctor's visit.
So what does do not qualify mean? What if you're in a state that doesn't have it? I mean, if you're you're saying that this doctor can qualify someone in any state?
Sorry, only if that state allows for medical
Right, okay.
care. Yes. But qualify in the terms of if your condition qualifies for a medical card. I believe certain qualifications might be like anxiety, or is it chronic pain? That's what I mean by qualifying for a card.
Gotcha. Okay, so we talked about PMS a little bit. And can you take like a tincture internally as well as, let's say, a suppository and so forth? So
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
okay too.
Yes.
And obviously everyone needs to find their dosage. And do you recommend like starting that maybe extra dose of CBD before that time, or
Oh, absolutely. I believe in keeping it, CBD is most effective when it's taken as a daily routine. So taking it every day, just like any other vitamin, think of it, it's actually, it is a plant. So no, it's an adaptogen, a superfood. So it is most effective if taken daily as a routine. And I take it every day. And to me, the idea is just dosaging it dependent on your life's rhythms.
Right. So like if you're going through a symptom of one of your conditions, then maybe the daily dose of CBD needs to be enhanced with something a little bit stronger.
Exactly. Like if I know my period is coming, that's when I start increasing my dosage. So I'm taking CBD every single day. But when my period is coming, I might reach out for that brand that will target my mood levels and also the cramping.
All right. So from 1 to 10, when you're taking that for your period, what is the reduction in uncomfortability? Percentage wise, can you guess, or just?
I would say at least more than 75% to 85%. And
oh wow!
Let me tell you, because I have incorporated CBD into my daily life, I used to suffer from horrible PMS symptom, every single symptom imaginable: heavy cramps, back pain, migraines, cold sores, like everything would come out. Now I don't even have PMS symptoms. So that's amazing. Just as a woman who has to go through it every month, it's amazing.
And your family can back that up with proof?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They can tell you about the things.
So all right. So let's talk. Over the years, and I managed a dispensary for 2 years, and 10 years ago, when everything was new about what we could use CBD and cannabis with. So I found that many women, high percentage, are coming in for fibromyalgia. Okay. Now it's easy just to say you've got fibromyalgia, but a lot of people get misdiagnosed, I believe, from what I've heard and talked to people. So what is fibromyalgia, and what makes people with fibro feel better? And of course, the weather has a lot to do with it. I know people that they could be feeling fine, and it's going to start the metric pressure changes, and they're in pain, like in many places. So let's point out there might be some people that have fibromyalgia that don't realize they have it. So if you have some information on that, I'd like to know how cannabis and hemp and CBD can help that.
That goes back to being cannabinoid deficient again. And it's most of these diseases are the same in the sense that you really need to take CBD as a daily practice. And then when there is a flare-up, you find a combination of what works for you. So just like I'm on my period, when I have a fibromyalgia flare-up, I'm already taking my daily dose. But when I have a flare up, that's when, okay, I need the suppository. You call in the backup, right? You call in the heavy duty ones. So that's the suppository. Then I start also rubbing balms on if that's, if I don't like a suppository. Even though a suppository is like a direct shot, it probably might. And that's the thing. People need to play with it to find out, okay, the suppository really works for me. Or maybe that didn't really hit the spot, but this cream really does when I put it on my back, right? So it's a combination of making sure you're taking it as a daily practice, but also playing with the different products that are available and finding the one that really works for you. It's cannabis is a little bit more complex. You have to play with different delivery methods to find what works for you, but also finding the right cannabinoid or terpene, because those all play into the different effects that one can feel when taking a product. So, and it's a combination of both. And I work with people to find that right combo, because I understand that anyone new to coming into this, it's very overwhelming, right? You walk into any store, there's a gazillion products, and most people are not aware of the other cannabinoids or terpenes or how they play a role, on top of trying to, well, how do I take this, right? How do I administer it? I know I was trying to answer your question, but
That's okay.
It's a long-winded one.
No, that's okay. You give out some really great information. Sometimes when you ask one question, about 10 other questions get answered, so that's okay. So as far as fibro is concerned, are we talking about topicals mostly, internally taking CBD? What about smoking cannabis with THC? I mean, how does that help?
Yes. Well, I find that especially for people who are in intense pain, like fibromyalgia, that vaporizer, smoking it, sometimes that immediate relief. And when they feel that, that's when they are a believer. Sometimes tinctures, if they don't know their dose, it's hard to find. They may not feel that relief, and they sometimes get kind of lost and like, well, it didn't work for me. So sometimes that delivery method, it works for you, right? Especially because it's immediate. You can feel it right away. So smoking is definitely helpful. And for intense pain, that's when I find that most people need that higher THC content and need to, CBD is great as your first step into cannabis. And then as you're, experimenting and you're finding that that's not enough, especially for people with extreme pain, I get that. That's when we need to start adding THC into the routine.
All right, so let's move over to premenstrual and not premenstrual. I'm sorry, postpartum and using cannabis during pregnancy. There are studies out there. You would think that there aren't, but there were studies that were done years ago with a lot of people in Jamaica. I can't think of the name of that doctor, Mary. I think it's Mary something. But I've done several shows just on that. So tell me about. Do you have any experience personally with cannabis and having babies?
During my second pregnancy, I did have a lot of nausea and pain and couldn't sleep. And I did try to minimize my, use of cannabis at that time, because I also wasn't sure about it. But, everything is fine now. And in terms of that study, I did read it, and my takeaway is that it's inconclusive because the mothers were also using other substances. So I can't say that it is, specific enough or controlled enough for me to say that anything about it. I personally, and I know that FDA says pregnant moms should not be using, but in my personal opinion, I feel that it is a plant. And the concern is, I think that CBD is fine, right? CBD that does not contain THC, because the concern is that for me is the THC for the undeveloped brain.
Mm-hmm. That
So,
seems to be the main, maybe possibly unreally defined problem with it. Okay, I think we need to know more about that, but so far, with all the results and the years of people using it in their own country and in their own culture, where it is a medicine all the time, we'll have to wait and see. But from what I understand, there's really nothing too much to worry about. It's more about the government worrying about us than ourselves worrying about us.
oh,
You know,
definitely,
so,
definitely.
and what about after you've had a child? Is it a pain thing?
After after I've been definitely still taking my CBD, and
Mhm.
I realized that is a big help. And I've had moms come to me and ask, "What do you think?" And at the end of the day, we have to really look at and weigh what is better for us, safety wise, right? Is an opioid better? Is being, non-functional, and, let's say if you're on opioids, or pain meds or whatever it is, sometimes the side effects of those may not be better, and you have to weigh the pros and the cons
Mhm.
versus not being on anything and having suicidal thoughts, or what is better. So for me, I felt my mental health was more important, and I continued with the CBD for my mental health, because if I don't have my mental health intact, I in no way am able to take care of my family in a
Mhm.
healthy way that I would like.
So let's talk now. Do you have any experience with CBD with let's say no THC in it, whatever's legal for children in any particular aspects of their life that it might be
Yes.
used for?
I do have moms coming to me with their children who may be on the spectrum or have ADD, or, and I do tell them to use broad spectrum or an isolate product, again, just because of the reason of the THC on the undeveloped brain. And we know that our brain isn't fully developed until, I believe, 25.
Yeah, they say 25 or 26.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that's like. I mean,
Right.
I smoked cannabis for the first time in 1968. I was 18 years old, so I guess my brain wasn't totally developed maybe, but I still feel pretty much the same, and I'm still comprehending things, and I use cannabis every day for 50 years at least. So
Hmm.
there's anecdotal information out there. Again, everybody's body is different, reacts differently, but we will find this out. We're finally able to do studies and research and stuff that has only been done in Israel and Spain and the Netherlands, and the studies here by our silly government and our prohibition was, here's a bunch of money, find out what is wrong with this plant.
Exactly.
Why do all the hippies hate us? It's like they wanted
Yeah.
to find the negativity in the
Mhm.
plant, but so far, with the 50, 60 years of they haven't found any negativity.
No, they haven't, but they keep making stuff up about it.
Yeah, oh, that and you know what? People have suffered, Amy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We've known that it shrinks tumors, and that
Yes.
it actually, you know what neurogenesis is?
Uh,
Neurogenesis is the rebuilding of brain cells.
oh, yes, yes, yes. They
Okay,
have
so we've been
yes,
the government's been telling us we've been burning our brain cells out for the last 50, 60 years, and it's actually the opposite. And
yes,
they recognize that with, that patent 6630507, where it says that it's good for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and Huntington's and MS. Oh, MS is huge, help with
hmm
cannabis.
yes,
Uh, so for children, there's obviously certain things can acting out sometimes if they're if they're under the spectrum. There's so many different levels of autism, and of course we're learning about that. And I think one of the most exciting things about this plant is that it really may be something for autistic people that can really help them have a better life, and that's really, really exciting.
Yes.
So
And
go ahead.
no, I just wanted to say some of the moms, they worry about giving their kids CBD because, you know, if they are voicing it in a community that is not supportive of it, which is most communities, they can call child services on them. So,
Oh, listen, that's so important. What about the mother who just gives birth in the hospital and they test her blood and they find
yeah,
cannabinoids in there, but they don't smoke marijuana,
right.
cannabis, pot, weed? Where does that come from?
Well,
I'm leading you to an answer.
well, we all produce cannabinoids in our
There you go.
body.
There you go.
So, yes, that's why they're going to find it there. And I don't believe that they should be doing that drug test when moms are, after giving birth. I don't.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely an invasion of privacy, and I guess I don't know that. Of course, they've been worried about cannabis in that just unreasonably, but
Unreasonable.
they're worried about cocaine, meth, heroin that could affect the baby. I sort of understand that, but when they start prosecuting and getting moms who just gave birth to a beautiful child shit because they tested positive, what are you talking about? I'm not around cannabis,
Right.
So our bodies, the plant and our bodies were made for each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's
Yes.
so.
Sorry, the plant phytocannabinoid mimics our own natural producing one to help balance our body.
Mhm. What else? How about? Do you have experience with dogs and animals? I know I've seen incredible use of CBD in older canines.
Yes. I mean, I've heard so many stories of their dogs were, limping, not walking. And then after taking CBD, they're going up the stairs again and doing, having this vitality. So definitely I've heard stories for
I
pets.
I've heard people say that their pet, even though they're older, is acting like a puppy again. How about
Yes.
that? Like
Yes.
you just said, not limping, being happy. They're not staring into the wall when they're ready to go. I mean, it's really
Right.
it really helps. And of course, there are products out there for pets and so forth that are a particular ratio of CBD. I think his name was Tim Shu out of California. He was a veterinarian, or is. I think he had to resign his license as a veterinarian in order to be able to sell and develop his products because the veterinary industry wouldn't allow him to do that. And there's also a guy named Gary Richter in California that's been doing work with Dr. Gary Richter. He's a vet. So, that's exciting because, pets are a part of our family.
They are. They are.
If we can help them stick around longer
Yeah.
and in more comfort, it's definitely something that can be done. So do you have a product for that as well? That's part of the
I
family?
do. I do. I have these pet treats, Zen treats from Tonic, and they're vegan. So it's good for, most pets. So cats can use it too,
Hmm.
because all mammals have an endocannabinoid system. So any most pets can use it.
Hmm. So what was it that brought you, to cannabis? I mean, was it your own personal experience with symptoms and illnesses that you were going through?
It was definitely my own personal experience with anxiety and postpartum depression.
Okay.
I didn't like the person I was becoming. I didn't know what it was, why I was becoming that. I thought it was just part of motherhood and that it was just a tough spot. And this is all something moms go through after having a baby. It's now I know it's anxiety and postpartum depression. And it was good to know what it is
Hmm.
so that I can take care of it. And, CBD really helped me. And I tried many things before, obviously I was going to therapy. So I was trying yoga, I was trying meditating, I was trying so many things. And, sometimes, I'm not speaking for everyone. I needed something more. And CBD was that thing that helped me. And how it helped me was that, when I'm, before CBD, I was, have anxiety, have postpartum depression. I was that hamster on the hamster wheel, but I couldn't see myself because you're busy on that hamster wheel. And the CBD allowed me to be so calm and present that I saw myself on that hamster wheel and saw how my life was and was like, oh my gosh. And it pointed out it doesn't have to be that way. And to recognize those patterns and to see it. And with the CBD leveling out my hormones, my mental capacity, also my mental state, that combination was what helped me out of that deep, dark hole. And it was just such an amazing feeling that it drew me closer to the plant and wanted to help others, especially moms, because I knew if I was going through it, I didn't know what it was. I'm sure a lot of other moms are feeling that way too. So that's.
And CBD is really doing the trick. So do you have any difficulty finding products that are, obviously you have to choose your products carefully because some of them just aren't made right. There's been so much controversy about CBD that it says there's 600 milligrams in this tincture bottle, but maybe there's 30. And people are getting ripped off and so forth. So obviously you've done a lot of research to find the products that are best and clean and so forth. So did that take a long period of time to find the ones that you like?
Yes, it took a very long time. I mean, once the Farm Bill was passed, the market was flooded with CBD products. So, and especially because I'm trying to find small farmed goods, I look at, who owns it, why are they making it? I look at, obviously, their certificate of analysis, making sure it's a clean product. Is it really full spectrum as they claim? And making sure it's free of toxins. I'm always trying to find, organic ones. And, I really support small farms because I believe that's where the quality is.
Oh, absolutely. The craft growers are the ones that, and of course it's very hard. We had the first year of our hemp bill here in New Mexico, I think we had maybe over 150 licenses. Okay. And then this year, of course, last year was, COVID and so forth. But this year, I maybe under 10 in this state. I mean, a lot of course, the first year, a lot of hemp farms went hot because they didn't source their seeds properly, and they had to be destroyed. I mean, the laws that tell a hemp farmer after they've been growing for months and months and months that you have to destroy your crop is absolutely stupid, especially in a state where there's a medical program where that CBD with the too high THC could be pushed over to that. But no, these people don't think when they make these laws. We have to save the farmers. The farmers are the ones. I mean, if you go up against the big farmers that have to buy seeds from Monsanto or something, it's horrifying. So
yeah, it's horrifying.
I say support the local people and the farmers and obviously, New York has a medical program, right? And but no one really oversees the CBD. Are there rules about CBD shops in New York, or can they just sell whatever they want?
They can sell, I think, pretty much anything they want, and but I'm hoping that they're doing their due diligence.
Right. So Delta 8 is made from a conversion of CBD. Have you had any experience with that at all?
I have given it a try, and it's quite interesting. I have to say that, it provides a different, it's known as a more functional high. And I really liked it because I don't feel tired coming down. And because it is a more functional high, I'm still able to be productive. And I know that you can find that ratio for some people with a 1-to-1 CBD to THC, or maybe just finding the right ratio for you. But I've never been able to find that ratio yet. And so I I do like that the Delta 8 provides a less intense high.
So again, THCA and juicing it. Have you have done that before? You've had the juice?
No, we don't have such access in New York as
Right.
much as I would love.
So that's going to be a thing.
Oh, I
Okay.
believe
They
it. I
say
believe
that juicing cannabis is probably the most healthful benefit of the use of the cannabinoids in their acid form, obviously. So and even CBD acid is supposed to be very, very good, CBDA. So
it.
we're still learning about all this, and you're going to have 10 more different products in your line and so forth. So we're talking to Amy Chin from Calm Better Days. What a great name for your products. And so how many different companies are you dealing with and different products? And
I've oh
where
yeah.
can people see them as well?
My website is calmbetterdays.co, and I have about 12, 13, about 14 different brands. I'm always looking out for more small farmed women or BIPOC owned brands to add into the mix. But when I do look at my assortment, when I buy products from these brands, I want to make sure that it fits a certain category. There's a reason why it must be there. I hate it when I walk into a dispensary, I see 10 different tinctures, they all do the same thing. You know, I want every product to have a reason to be there, whether it's addressing a certain target symptom, or it has a different cannabinoid that is not found in another one. Because and I curate the selection like that, because if you're coming to me with a specific problem, I want to find you the product that would best suit your situation to really find relief. I want to cut trying 10 different products and wasting a lot of money and time to find the right product. So I'm helping you find the right product to take away the probably 6 months of trying different things.
Do you have available to your possible customers like any counseling, like we're talking right here, like on Zoom or on the phone or something? Do you talk to them and hear what
I
they need?
do. I provide virtual consultations one-on-one where I educate you first on it, because I need to make sure that you know how to use the product, right? If you don't know how to use the product, you're not going to see any results. So that's where my education about CBD comes in. And then afterwards, depending on your health symptoms, I take a broad look of it, try to understand what you're experiencing and where it's coming from. So then that way I can find you the right product. And then, we can always email after the consultation, after you've tried out some of the products. And it's always an ongoing open conversation, because circumstances change. Sometimes a health symptom goes and then a new one pops up. So even products may change. So it's always an open conversation. I tell them you can always email me whenever anything feels weird, or you're have a question about dosaging, or if it's a new product recommendation. It's always okay to reach out to me. I am here for that, because at the end of the day, everybody needs someone to ease them into it and have someone to ask when we have questions.
Sure.
Of course, I disclose I am not a medical, in the medical field profession. And if you are on existing medication, I understand that people need that reassurance that it's okay, that it's not going to, have any, bad circumstances of medication mixing. So I have Leaf 411 on my website, which is a nonprofit of Canna nurses that you can call for free and say, hey, I'm on medication XYZ and 1, 2, 3. Is CBD going to be okay if I take this with me?
So that's Leaf 411. Is it .com or .something else?
Leaf411.com, I believe it is. But the number is on my website.
Okay, good.
And they can call the Canna nurse. It's for free. You can call and just tell them what your concern is regarding your medication.
That's fantastic. I have a friend, nurse. I don't know if you ever heard of Nurse Heather.
Yes, I have.
I've known her for like 12 years, and she's from New Mexico originally, and now she's in California and doing great work. And there's all kinds of incredible nurses. I did an interview right before the pandemic. My last interview for the pandemic was with Barbara Blazer out of California, and you should check that interview out. She was amazing. She's 75 years old, and her daughter Debbie Goldsberry is involved in Magnolia Cannabis up in Oakland or San Francisco. I can't, up in that Northern California area. There's so many people that came over, from being professional medical in some way, and have come over to learn about cannabinoids. And there's a Dr. Regina Nelson who has a book out on the endocannabinoid system that people can go read, and you can recommend people to learn about the endocannabinoid system. After all, we're still learning about it. No one even heard about it until sometime in the 1980s, I believe, that Professor Meshulam in Israel, sort of discovered this, and the receptors, and how cannabinoids bind to CB1 and CB2, and it's just so exciting. And again, now that we're going to be able to do real studies, real research, we're going to find out stuff that's just going to be incredible about this plant that we don't know about, and we'll be able to, I think THCV, if I'm not mistaken, could be like a diet thing. If I'm not, I may be mixing up my cannabinoids, but there's all kinds of compounding, I think, of the natural plant that we'll be able to do in order to, specifically hit certain areas and so forth. So with the couple minutes we have left, is there anything else that you'd like? Did we forget to talk about something? And of course, give out your contact information again, and so forth.
No, I think we've covered everything, and hopefully this will, spur anyone who was interested and is interested to come take a look. The first step is to learn about it, and hopefully you'll give it a try. It comes with an open mind, tracking it, patience, experimenting, and eventually that becomes the fun thing. Like for me, now that I know the different combinations and what works for me, it's kind of like, oh, what should I take today? What do I need? What do I want right now? And then I find the according product for it. Again, you can find me at calmbetterdays.co, and you can book a free consultation right on my website. We'll go over the CBD basics so that you can start your journey to wellness.
Amy Chin from calmbetterdays.co. That's .co. Check her out. This was an amazing interview. I think we taught a lot of people some good things. And check out the hand-picked products that she has for CBD for women and children, I guess, if necessary, and animals and so forth. Thank you so much for spreading your information today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry, for having me.
My pleasure. We'll be right back after this.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
Yeah, once again, I want to thank Amy. Calm Better Days, what a great name for those products. I also want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. Again, on Clubhouse, every Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. on the West Coast and midnight on the East Coast. It's Late Night with Marijuana. Tune in. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. We'll be right back next week with another great guest.
It's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa.